Hello, fam. Thank you for joining us. Before we get into today's episodes, I really want you to just understand how long this one has been coming for us. It is huge. If you've ever wondered how NFL merch exploded in Australia, how snapbacks became a thing, why suddenly every second person was wearing NFL gear, or what actually goes on behind the scenes of getting all this stuff into the stores, this episode is unreal. It's so unreal. We've split it into two episodes, a part A and a part B. We sat down with Nick, one of the biggest names in sports licensing and merchandise in Australia. And honestly, this conversation goes way deeper than just jerseys and hats. We talk about everything from the early days of Mitchell Ness and Culture Kings to the growth of NFL in Australia, including the Melbourne game, how Netflix and pop culture are changing sports, and the absolute chaos of printing a championship merch overnight before fans even leave the stadium. There are stories in this episode that genuinely blew our minds. So whether you're a hardcore NFL fan, a sports business nerd, or just someone fascinated by how trends and culture actually takes off in Australia, you're going to love this one. Sit back, enjoy part A of our chat with Nick Auditore.
Brown 45!
Yes, hello and welcome to the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast, the only podcast that has possibly Australia's biggest manufacturer. I don't know how many titles you want to go to. Mr. M2M himself, NAR, Nick Auditore. How are you, mate?
Good, yeah. Thanks for having me. It's a humbling experience to be invited to talk to you guys today. Most of the other leagues hide from me, so it's nice. It's nice to be loved or given the love.
Humbling for you. Danny joining us on the brown couch. I was nervous driving in today. Going, shit, hope we go all right. I hope we don't fuck this up, if I'm honest.
I think as well, because it's been so many, it feels like over a year in the making as well.
Yeah.
We've been really trying to get this locked in because every single person that I talk to, like in my friendship group, my family, explain what you do. They're like, even if they don't like NFL or they're just a sports fan, they're like, I want to know about the ins and outs of all of this.
Yeah, and me being a nuffy, I definitely want to know about it. So I was doing some reading and there was some big numbers thrown in around yourself, but let's go back to the start. How did NAR start and get off the ground, really?
I worked for brands for 15 years and I'd traveled, lived in Asia, lived in America, and I was living in Los Angeles and living in Taiwan. I worked for brands in Australia for over that 15-year period, and then decided that I wanted to start my own distribution business and move back to Australia. And it so happens that at a point, my journey has predominantly been footwear. And at a point in time, I was sitting in an airport in Dusseldorf on the way back from a footwear trade show, and sparked up a conversation with a guy who, at that point in time, he just secured the international rights for Mitchell Ness, and he basically wanted the footwear brand that I had, that I was the head of international for that brand. So he'd sort of done a bartering system at the airport of Dusseldorf and said to me, if you give me Box Fresh Footwear, which is the brand that I represented at that point in time for Europe, I'll give you Mitchell Ness. And I don't know if I can swear on that.
Go free.
But my mindset was, who the fuck's Mitchell Ness?
Yeah.
And a lot of people sort of.
So what year would this be? You reckon?
This was 14 years ago.
Okay.
So he pretty much said, I've got a brand called Mitchell Ness, and we have all the rights for NBA and NFL snapback headwear. And when I heard about the snapback, I was okay, fuck, whatever. And I text my mate where I was sitting there at Dusseldorf, and I said, have you heard about what are you hearing about snapback hats? And he said, mate, it's the hottest thing going around at the moment. Culture Kings is all over snapback headwear at the moment. You should get it. And I said to him, listen, he was flying back to the UK. I said, all right, let's meet in the bar in UK. He goes, no, come out to my office and let's have a proper meeting. So I said, okay, cool. I got in a taxi in a hotel that I was staying in the UK. The taxi ended up costing me £140 to get out to some farm where this dude was bootlegging this brand. I don't even know how he secured Mitchell Ness himself. It was the most bootlegging shit I'd ever been involved in my life. And he said, "I'll sell you the hat." And I said, "Okay, cool. Let me." I went to JD Sport before I had the meeting, and I went and bought a hat. And my father-in-law at the time, we bought the hats together, and we went and curved the hats and we pulled the stickers off because we thought, what the fuck are these stickers, and why is everyone wearing these hats when they're not flat peak hats? So we curved them, turned up to the office, and we go, well, that's the worst mistake you guys can make. You pull the fucking stickers off the hats, and you've curved the hats. So I took a box of hats. He said, take the box of hats, take them back to the hotel, have a think about it. I sat out in the lobby with my father-in-law at the time, and he said, what do you think about these hats? I said, I've got no idea. Like, does anyone actually want this shit? And the concierge dropped the box of hats that I put behind the counter. He came up to me and said, "Mate, is that your brand? I've just seen all those hats." I said, "Oh, I've just been offered it as a brand." He goes, "Mate, that is the hottest shit you've ever seen." So I came back to Australia, called Simon at Culture Kings at the time, and he said, "Yeah, I'll take a container of hats." So I've had to come up with $400,000 to finance the first set of snapback head hats in Australia. He'd already been bootlegging them through someone else, and the hats that I bought through the English guys that had the master rights were made in a different factory. Simon got the first delivery of the hats that I delivered, and he said, "That's the wrong factory. Usually the hats are made in Yupong." He said, "I want to fucking return them all." So within about 2 weeks, I'm insolvent in this business that I'd gone, and Simon wanted to return $400,000 worth of hats. But, I sort of said to him, hold on to them, see if you can sell them. He ended up selling them, and somewhat the rest was history. I think we delivered 250,000 hats in the first year. Snapback headwear just blew up off the charts. And, then we started adding more product to that with jerseys and swingmans and T-shirts and so on and so on. And that was sort of the birth of US sport. So my birth was somewhat formed off the back of Simon at Culture Kings at that time, and our success. Obviously, he sold his business for $600 million. I mean, I'm selling mine for $6, but I mean, his success was we equally had it at the same time off the back of US sport. So that's how it was launched.
I love that it's in Dusseldorf that you really get your start, but it's in an airport that it goes from there.
Yeah.
Do you talk about that it was made in different places and things like? Do you have problems with? Or what kind of problems do you have with bootlegging and stuff like that?
I mean, right at the start, it was a nightmare, and we paid a lot of companies to work just on protecting the trademarks. And, the leagues wanted to help, but it was always at arm's length, so it was always challenging to sort of get the support of the leagues to annul bootlegging, because you go to Southland Shopping Centre and there's 4 concessions in there of people trying to sell stuff. I think it's cleaned up a lot over the last sort of 10 years, and you don't see as much of it. I mean, obviously you go to the Caribbean markets at Dandenong or, but it's definitely not what it was, because the product's so much more accessible now. But yeah, it's progressed a lot.
I think as well, you can also tell if someone's bootlegged a product, especially the snapbacks. Like you know when one's fake, and
can you see it from a mile away? You're like,
yeah, I can, particularly with NBA. I mean, everyone's coming back from NBA. I walk through Tullamarine Airport, and usually when I see people like you sitting over there, I'm sort of thinking, well, I made $10 on you wearing that jersey. Yeah. But most of the Bali crew that are rolling through are wearing the jerseys, and I'm like, these pricks haven't paid me a cent. But,
I'll pay you every single one of those $10. This is a legit one.
It's crazy. And even go to Bali. I don't think there's as much US sport up there now. It's probably more Ed Hardy and what have you. So it just goes in peaks and troughs.
Yeah,
the trend.
They've fully gone designer now, haven't they? Everything's like Louis Vuitton and stuff over there.
It's got Ed Hardy, like the shorts. Like we're just rocking here now. You see the full Ed Hardy with the bejeweled.
That's the evolution of the product. I mean, you look at the jacket here. I mean, that jacket was the first ever jacket that I owned when I was 14. When I first got introduced to NFL sport, or saw Troy Aikman or whatever playing that. Now I'm remaking that jacket, but that's what we call product that we build for diehards. loyalists like yourselves and what have you, but then you start getting into the product like we're making here, and you're talking about a camo jersey, which you probably, that jersey is a bit of a tribute to US soldiers and what have you at the moment over there. But the way that the fashion has now started to come in, and culture and entertainment and streetwear is starting to influence what the traditional product is that the coaches and staff used to wear. So I'd go out on a limb and say, particularly in Australia and Europe, I'd probably say 85% of the product that we build, we make specifically for the market. So we design it. It's designed from a trend standpoint of what we think Australian consumers are going to wear versus buying the stuff from the US ranges. I used to go to the conference and get a catalogue with 950,000 pages, and there wasn't anything. There's Henley T-shirts and polo shirts and what have you. Now we build everything from scratch. So all the trend work we do in Australia, and then we basically work with the retailers like Universal Store and General Pants and Foot Locker and what have you to design specific to what the consumer, we believe, in Australia needs. And most of the time the consumer in Australia is not necessarily the diehard that you get over in America. I mean, we design all the product for the AFL at the moment as well, and we have a real lens on the consumer that's more of a diehard loyalist. But when you think about this product, it's really trend driven. I mean, in Australia, as an example for Major League Baseball, it's all Yankees and Dodgers, and every time MLB turn up the Australian market, why isn't there more teams other than Yankees and Dodgers? It's like, well, mate, that's 92% of the order book. Maybe Chicago Cubs, something pops off. So,
do you think, like when Danny said, it's been 12 months in the making for this to come true, for me anyway. 12 months ago when we were sitting there, we were having a very similar conversation about NFL. Is Major League Baseball, like basketball's been around.
Basketball's been massive in Australia for a long time.
For a long time. NFL in the last 10 years, really, you probably have a better perspective than I do, but it's the same thing where people are like, oh, why is there no Browns gear? Like, well, because there's no Browns supporters here. But in the last, 12, 18, 24 months, the Melbourne game now coming ahead.
Yep.
Are you finding that you can really spread your wings with what teams you can actually have out there?
It goes channel to channel. Like you think about a retail like Culture Kings. Culture Kings will build product around, use Detroit Lions as an example with Eminem, and then there's what is happening in entertainment that can influence what's happening in NFL. Raiders has been such a impactful asset for us over the years. With everything from New World Order and that trend coming out. So Culture Kings would resonate to that. But then you see someone like Kmart in Australia that buy NFL product, and Kmart's position is really those core teams and, obviously the global, what do they call them, the home market teams in Philadelphia Eagles and Raiders and Rams they'll probably take more of a position in that space, whereas Culture Kings will go wherever there is trend within NFL that's relevant to Post Malone being aligned to Dallas Cowboys, or then we then just see major spikes. And the other outlier, I think, is sort of, like obviously the quarterback shows and stuff with Netflix. You start seeing all that entertainment now influencing kids, and, my kids know more about NFL than I do because they're watching all those Netflix shows, and they'll buy in accordance with what's happening with those shows, and so that's the power of Netflix, which is no different to Drive to Survive. I mean, we do all the Formula One product at the moment, and it's crazy the amount of energy coming through the teams and what's happening. So quarterbacks are so important, but also music, culture and entertainment are even more important about the way we think about building product in Australia, because even like the first year that we did it, it was like, okay, what are the teams you need? San Francisco 49ers, Dallas Cowboys, then you go Giants, and then you'd probably go, what? Now, no one would have thought Kansas City. Like, who the fuck's buying Kansas City if those two blokes hadn't turned up and started playing there? So, the power of the player. It's also happening in AFL at the moment. Like, we're starting to see, like, those players, the Dacoses and what, they're the best-selling products, which is player IP versus it being so team-centric. So that's happening as well as
definitely, looking at those shorts, they're definitely Raiders shorts.
They gotta be.
Like you're saying about who's doing what, I can't see you putting a Detroit Lion on the back of those shorts, and someone
Yeah.
going, "Yeah, they look grouse." Raiders,
Yeah.
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
like,
yeah,
that's the culture coming out.
Yeah.
Into
I
that.
mean, or Jets or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
Could be a Packers. Like a couple of cheese heads wearing that.
Imagine if it was just a cube of cheese on the back of the shorts.
we obviously we represent Mitchell and Ness in the Australian market as well, and Mitchell and Ness is really around those moments and stories that are happening in those moments. Like we're working on a big Jets proposition for next year in CY27 based on anniversaries and moments. So that's sort of we're following that. We're following entertainment. We're following culture. Like even like Mitchell and Ness. Mitchell and Ness has Oakland Raiders, whereas our current rights, which we represent Fanatics on, they have Las Vegas Raiders. So what is the delta between both those, and how much more can you sell of Oakland versus how much more can you sell of Vegas? So that's all the thinking that we're constantly having to do on a day-to-day basis versus just slapping fucking logos and hoping for the best.
What is the answer on that? Like, because I find that incredibly interesting. Like, does Oakland sell better than Las Vegas?
Yeah, Oakland
by far?
does. Yeah, it does. I mean, Vegas at the moment, you've got this undertow of the NRL and them doing those visits to Vegas at the moment. It's putting more Vegas on people's mindsets that is meaningful, but Oakland will always sell 5-1 to Vegas,
Which is crazy, because like a lot of people call themselves Raiders fans. There's very few that are Las Vegas Raiders fans. I think in this day and age, because yeah, you're exactly right. They became fans because of the culture, or it was the only team that they knew, especially coming from Australia. It's the only team that they knew, or they're a rap fan, and then that's how they got into the Raiders in the first place. So therefore, they believe it's the Oakland Raiders. But if you're a proper NFL fan, Las Vegas have struggled.
I don't know many people that are new Vegas Raiders fans.
No,
Like they're all old school, diehard Raiders.
Yep.
or people that said that the only form of merch they could get at one point was Raiders merch, so therefore they became a Raiders fan, so they could rock a team.
Yeah. It's and then you got Rams as well sitting in there, and it's so new and current, and it's shiny, whereas Raiders is grimy, and it's got that streetwear music. But you're seeing, I don't know, new music. You can start going, they're aligning themselves to Rams more. So it's going to be interesting to see what the MCG looks like on the day. As to is it a sea of black and red, or is it a sea of blue, or is it a sea of a multi mix of so many diehard jerseys?
I'm having that in my head at the moment. Do I rock my Green Bay, or do I go in, a red? We've got our red San Fran shirt. Do we go in that one?
No,
or?
we want you to buy the event jersey.
Yeah, that's it.
The Melbourne event jersey product that we've just finished designing.
We will.
What does that look like?
It's.
Can we talk about it?
Lock and key?
No, well, I mean, we've built lockups for both teams, and then we've built a lot of there's a lot of cues to the MCG. So you start seeing the graphics of the MCG coming through, and then you start seeing, obviously, I don't know if it's new news or whatever, that Rams has got a new logo.
I was looking at all that stuff today.
So maybe,
does that slight change? Does it stuff you?
It kills us.
Okay. Because it's a slight colour of the changing of blue, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But I mean, we've already designed that range. We've already built it. We're trying to deliver it in the Australian market by June 30, and you're now putting major pressure on factories to get that product here. And obviously we want to pre-sell a lot of that product as well. Because there's a demand right now, isn't there, for everyone wanting tickets? But there's fuck,
got to run with that hype.
Yeah. So the range looks, it's a cues to Melbourne, and then there's cues to lockups within both teams, and then standalone artwork for both the teams. And the teams have their own sort of agendas, and the NFL has their own agendas, and everyone, and obviously every time you're piling on another logo, you're paying more royalties. So for us, it's trying to build product that we can, obviously is quality for the consumer, but we can make a cent. That'd be nice without paying all the league royalties on top. But don't tell Charlotte that.
Yeah. Well, let's go. We kind of glossed over a little bit. So you've gone from a meeting and a farm out in the middle of Dusseldorf or wherever it was. How do you decide then, all right, we've sold 250,000 worth of hats. What's the next step? How do we grow this brand now? Is it did you have an idea, or is it, again, you're starting to get people in to go, all right, what does the Australian market want and need at this point? How do you grow it from
I mean, you really sort of identify who your key retail partners are, and then let's use Rebel as an example. I mean, Rebel had a position a couple of years ago that basketball, they were going to take a major position in basketball in Australia, and that was a commitment to square meterage within their stores, and then that was a commitment to options, whether or not that's 15 T-shirts or jerseys or what have you. And then we start building out with that retailer in mind. So they made that position in the NBA. They made that position in NFL about 5 years ago, where they wanted a jersey story within all stores, so all 105 stores. So we built out the best 6 quarterbacks at that point in time, and they wanted a T-shirt program to accompany that program with hats. So we'd sort of work with the retailer to sort of say, okay, that's what you guys want to do. And then we'd work with a retailer like Universal Store that want fashion T-shirts. You know, like you look at Universal's very specific about, we want particular tanks, and we want vintage, and we want graphics that feel vintage. I mean, that's what we worked on for Universal Store, where we deliver them a tanks program of archival heritage artwork. So every retailer has their own sort of thinking about what they want to do. We just work specifically with them and try and build programs. But, you know, sell-through is king. You know, if the shit doesn't sell, then we end up with a stock position, and then they hate the NFL. At the moment, they love the NFL because sell-through is great, which is off the back of the game, but it's also more so off the back of what's happening with those guys. They're pure entertainment, the quarterbacks, and they're building it. And
the partners that they have.
And Netflix is building it, and there's so many things. It's not just the game. I mean, you know, the guys have done an amazing job to get that game down here, but the NFL's been building for 2 years. You know, so it's not just a fluke that this is happening. There's been a lot of hard work, and you know, Roger last couple of weeks talking about flag in all schools. I mean, that's a 10-year conversation that's been happening. So everyone turns up and goes, I need tickets. Everyone's ringing me and probably ringing you guys. How do I get tickets? How do I get tickets? It's like, you know.
We're going to sell tickets first.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have to get tickets the same way everyone else did. Everyone's like, oh, you'll be like sorted like.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It doesn't happen that way.
We'll be in the Nick Auditore box.
Yeah.
But I reckon, like, you're so right when we're talking about like the Netflix effect, because like you said, you notice it with Drive to Survive, and you can see it even like I used to go to the F1 in Melbourne before it was cool, like before the Netflix effect, and you could get like mini VIP tickets, like half step VIP tickets, and it was like $200 for the weekend. And now you can't even get a ground pass for that price. Like, it's absolutely crazy. And I think you're so right with the NFL. Like, I've got people coming up to me being like, you like that? Because they know I do an NFL podcast. The only reason they know that Kirk Cousins did that was because they flashed back on the Netflix show. Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy how much influence that has. And have you found that also has an influence then on all the merch?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're just beneficiaries of it. You know, the NFL's doing all this work in the background that, you know, whether or not those TV rights deals and how many channels they're screening it on and the amount of social content that those guys are working on in the background. I'm just the extension. It's not being built through what we're doing, but, you know, you're also getting led by, you know, Justin Bieber wearing, particularly, you know, Justin Bieber at the moment wearing NHL jerseys. You know, we just see the spike immediately, or Happy Gilmore doing the video, you know, Happy Gilmore 2.0 the other day. Like, you know, we all of a sudden, bang, you just hit those moments. And we've tried to build a business that sort of when you hit the moment, we're here to serve the consumer on that day. You know, like a couple of weeks ago, or even last week, I mean, it was a gather round last week for the AFL. I mean, they did, you know, about $300,000 of venue merchandise at gather round because they're in the moment, they're hitting it. State of Origin for AFL a couple of weeks ago with WA, they did about 180 grand in a couple of days just over there. So it's, you know, you just got to be there. You know, obviously there's 4 games coming up with soccer and a couple of Italian teams that are turning up in Juve and Inter Milan and what have you. It's like the money that we can do when we turn up in those moments is so impactful. So you just got to be in there and you got to be capturing it. So there'll be no shortage. I mean, the general mindset is there'll be no shortage of products when we get to the NFL game by September. So we'll start delivering that product in the Australian market in about June. All the airports will be full of product by about July. So as we're starting to try and capture tourists, and how many there are, I mean, who knows? Everyone's like, there's 100,000 Americans that are going to turn up. I mean,
we say that, but like I've gone to a couple of international games. I did one in Frankfurt, and we went there, and I was expecting it to be like a full German fan base.
Yeah.
Every single person was American.
Yeah, wow.
I felt like strange being not American. Like the lad I sat next to was in the American Army, and he was wearing one of those camo jerseys. He was wearing a camo Chiefs Mahomes jersey because he was part of the military and he was there for that game. And like, it is crazy their fan base that travel.
Yeah. I mean, I hope so. Because I mean, those tourists, hotels and what they're going to do for the Melbourne economy during that period of time. I mean, I own the NBA stores. One's at the Emporium. I hope that I'm getting all that foot traffic of those guys coming
They're
through.
going to come here and see that it's bigger here. They think we're 100 million miles away.
Yeah.
When they come here and see, shit, we've got an NBA store here.
Yeah.
It blow a lot of their minds.
Yeah. I mean, we I constantly hear this is like Australia as a market, bats way above our average. What have we got? 25 million people. But the numbers that we do as a market for apparel and merchandise is just extraordinary. It's just such a great sports community of loyalist fans. But there's also the fans that are not necessarily fans. They just love the trend, and we wear a dad hat or a snapback hat or whatever that you can wear it and not necessarily know a goddamn thing. I mean, I couldn't say. I mean, I've got the NHL rights. I mean, ask me a question about who plays in the NHL. I couldn't say. I
couldn't name a single player.
I can't even tell you. You know what I'm getting? I'm getting like that a lot. I know more about. I've got we do WWE wrestling. I know more about WWE wrestling because me 11-year-old is a fan. Like he loves it.
John Cena stars, right?
Yeah. Oh,
I think the whole John Cena like coming back thing like almost rejuvenated like a lot of fans, and then like once again the Netflix show like what's it called Unreal. It's called Unreal, and like that had the same effect. Like people were watching that like at work. It had Unreal on in the background. I'm like, you're a wrestling fan? Like, no, it's on Netflix though.
Yeah,
it's the
As it
Netflix
pops
effect
up,
again.
it just keeps it going in their forefront.
Yeah,
Like,
you get it with like Tour de France. I mean, look at
I love
Tour
the
de France.
Tour.
I love
the
that
Tour.
show.
Yeah.
It's
Unchained.
my favourite show. I mean, God, the insights that you get for the pain and suffering those guys are doing riding bikes. It's crazy, yeah.
So we said before, NBA's been, Michael Jordan made the NBA, especially worldwide, really.
Yep.
NHL's kind of growing, and there is people out there, believe it or not, that actually do know names.
Yeah.
It's funny, but why is the NFL, why is the growth different compared to all these other sports?
I think that they're aligning sports, street culture, entertainment better at the moment. The guys that are leading it, whether or not it's Mahomes and the Kelsey effect of what took place.
I can't imagine it's too many 13-year-old girls that love NHL, but they all know about Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's the Taylor Swift effect, isn't it?
Yeah, I just think that when you get all that come together, where music and entertainment and culture and sport all align at that one point of time, and the game itself is complicated for people to watch, but you're getting all these kids now that are coming up as 11, 12-year-olds that know the game and they're getting understood on it. There's been a lot of that, and I was talking about like 10 years ago what's happening. This has been going on for years. We're talking about it now as if, the NFL game's just turned up. These kids in schools and whatever that were once, 8 or 9-year-olds are now 15, 16, and they know the game. They're all understood. And then they're also getting the effect of NCAA. So they're seeing every kid, you ask them, these kids are 15, 16, they have all got an NCAA team and they've all got an NFL team. It's wild. So I think the synergy of all that. And then, NBA, it's you talk about The Last Dance. I mean, we did $11 million in Jordan product during that Netflix show of just waiting for every episode and printing T-shirts off the back of each of the episodes. So Pippen or Jordan or obviously Luke Longley didn't get an episode.
I think his head got in there once.
But
the Dennis Rodman though.
Yeah, the Rodman stuff, and so. We're using Culture Kings as an example. We delivered products after every show, and we're just smashing it with that product. And then we went through that, and then we got into the new season of the NBA. And I don't want to talk badly of the NBA because they're my master rights holder. But you got LeBron and Steph that have been around for a minute, right? And we're waiting for the evolution of that next, whether or not it's Anthony Edwards or, Halliburton or who are these next guys that are going to take the NBA to the next stage. Whereas you've got all these guys like Burrows and all, in NFL that just are bringing so much more energy and heat. I think it's a big part of it,
Yeah, I think as well as people are realizing that NFL isn't a diluted product. Like the NBA, you're playing 82 games in a season.
Yeah.
That middle game, like your 40th game of the season, does it matter if you win or lose?
Yep.
You're still probably making the playoffs anyway. You're still definitely going to be in the top 8.
Yep.
So people take their foot off the gas. You lose a game in the NFL, like your playoff chances could be done.
Yep.
Like it's all it's every single week I think matters. And if you get a passionate sports fan who cares about any form of sport game, if you tell them how important each individual game is, then they watch every game.
17 games.
Yep.
And every game.
Yeah, every game matters.
But
Yeah.
I think you lean into that as well. The NFL, and that's why we're here, they are so good at telling stories.
Yep.
Like everything's a story. The draft coming up in a week's time. Like there's stories around it and it hasn't even happened yet.
Yep.
Like I see you've got their Seahawks, I was going to say premiership, Super Bowl winning, and you say you're doing it off the back of TV episodes and things like that. How quick are you getting stuff out into the market?
We bought our own screen printing facility, so we've got the ability to turn out about 4,000 t-shirts a day, and we, as an example, I've used Super Bowl. I mean, we got the artwork, we built the artwork during the week.
For both teams, obviously.
Yep, we built both teams, and for some
Or did you
reason,
know the result before it happened?
It is scripted. It's scripted. Speaking of WWE,
just only due to skill. But we make sometimes, like using the AFL as an example. I mean, we'll make the t-shirts for the AFL and MCG AFL Grand Final Day. There's probably 2,000 t-shirts that are sitting there that get destroyed at the ground, and we deliver the other t-shirt to the other team straight after. So that's a way that we sort of try and make sure that as the fans are walking out of the gates, the t-shirts are readily available. But most of the time, I mean, when Collingwood won the grand final, we printed 17,000 t-shirts that night and delivered them to the stores at 9 a.m. that next morning. For Super Bowl t-shirts, we'd already shot the imagery and the artwork, and it goes up online the minute the siren goes. And then we'll
you start
deliver.
when they're 28-3 up and not long to go. We'll start putting it up there.
I did that for the grand final, Brisbane Lions grand final the year before, and that was all over. Third quarter, we're just printing, just to try and get ahead of it. So most of the time, it's all shot already, and it goes up the minute the result is done, and the T-shirts are all printed that night to deliver the next day. Now, whether or not we need to bring other screen printers into it, depending on the size and scale, we haven't had to do that.
How did you manage to get from 4,000 to 17,000 then?
We just use other screeners.
Yeah, okay.
So we've got sort of 4 screeners that are running. We'll do scarves that night. We'll do beanies. You're just running. So I've got people running around Melbourne while you guys are sleeping out for hangovers. And then we're
big hangovers.
we're
Still out. What do you mean?
Yeah. Like the Brisbane Lions, as an example. They had their family day the next day at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
I mean, we're on a chartered flight to get product out at the airport with the product sitting on the tarmac at 3 a.m. to get to the family day the next day. So,
Which is just insane.
Yeah, the logistics of it all is just wild.
It'll blow people's mind.
Alrighty, we're going to leave it there for part A. In part B, we get into the absolute chaos of player trades, draft night logistics, NFL Australia expansion, and what the future of American sports culture looks like here. Don't miss it.